hottest, hairiest roadsters.
The Stilo, is it true Fiat styling?
And has the new Mini got the moves to make you love it?
Money can't buy you love, but it can buy you thrills and spills. This week we get our hands on some very hairy roadsters to see how much fun you can have for 40 grand.
The Boxster S was launched 2 years ago and took the baby Porsche to a new level of performance. It was so good that even Porsche themselves thought they made too good a job of it, and they were worried that it might threaten off sales at a more expensive 911. Smooth and sophisticated, this car set the benchmarks in the under £40,000 sports car market.
This is no ordinary Z3, this is an M Roadster. Now that M badge always guarantees extra aggression under the bonnet, and this little car is no exception. But BMW have added some electro trickery to keep the rear wheels under control and you looking super cool in their new little hot rod.
There's been no attempt to dampen the flames here, not a driver's aid in sight. TVR's new Tamora sticks to the traditional British layout of brute force up front and rear-wheel drive. They hope its looks and sheer brawn will make up for its lack of brains.
So let's find out if it'll be the rough or the smooth that takes the crown in this week's Driven 100.
Despite their sporty looks and impressive performance figures, these cars have to be usable on a day-to-day basis. So Jason's going to take Penny for a spin round the city and then for a blast in the country. We've set Jason a tough city course where he'll have to reverse into a tight parking space, weave his way through the traffic, then bump over a speed hump before he can put his foot down on the country roads. First to go, it's the Boxster S.
First thing you notice about this car is just how nice the clutch and the pedals are. It feels very easy to drive. It's quite a big steering wheel for a sporty car. I'm not even going to bother looking at the back because, to be honest, I can't see a thing, so I'm just going to judge it all on the mirrors.
How are you doing this side? I can't see the cones yet. There we go.
The mirrors are very good. They give you a bit of an idea where the rear of the car is.
They're nice
It's
and
a
big.
little bit of guesswork, but they're big and they're well shaped.
Easy
okay,
peasy.
isn't it?
Right, well let's go next through the slalom.
Now the steering,
Manoeuvrable.
in a car like this, it needs to be heavy enough so you have feel when you're going quick, but it also needs to be light enough through town. And I have to say, it's pretty, they seem to have got the compromise.
Yeah, I mean that was ever so tight. Speed bump, how's it going to ride the speed bump? Because sometimes
Let's
they kind
see.
of bunny hop over. Oh, very nice.
This really is a super little chassis. It's so well balanced, it gives you great confidence. The steering's really sharp. It's got loads of grunt.
Oh, here we go, we're getting even faster now.
It's got stability control and all the toys. And to be honest, they're not very intrusive. You can't feel them. They don't take any enjoyment out of driving the car.
Oh, I love this car so much. Oh, he's getting really excited now.
Next through the city-style course, the BMW M Roadster.
Right now, pedals, the clutch is very easy to use, good take-up, but it's quite heavy, do you think?
I think it's got a long travel to it.
Yeah. Rear visibility is good on this car, considering what sort of car it is. And the mirrors are quite good. They're maybe a little bit too heavily stylised. And whilst we're talking about mirrors, this interior thing is just ridiculous. It's enormous. You're forever kind of trying to look under it to see where you go. Now, the steering is quite a bit lighter than in the Boxster. And it's got a good lock-to-lock. It's more manoeuvrable than the Porsche.
Really?
Yeah. It's certainly, the driving position's a little bit more upright. And less sports car-y than the Porsche, which makes it a bit easier to drive.
Well, that was quite nice. Hey!
It is a great fun car to drive. It has got bucket loads of power, and it's delivered in a really smooth, silky way.
Now, it's got the same engine in here as the brand new M3, but it's not giving as much power as the M3 because there's not enough space in here to cope with the exhaust, but still 325 horsepower, believe you me, is plenty. Oh!
The brakes are very responsive. Just feels a little bit twitchy on turn in, Doesn't give you the confidence I had in the Porsche.
I'm getting very nervous now because we've got 2 cars down, 1 to go, and that's the TVR Timora.
It'll be fine.
Oh,
I mean,
help
let's
me.
be honest. There's nothing to worry about. It's only got, what, 350 horsepower. It's got no traction control. It's got no ABS. It's made of fiberglass. I know what you're worried about.
The thought of Jason driving this one is already making me nervous.
You have to go into fifth before you go into reverse to stop it snarling, to stop the...
Oh, I can't see a thing.
No, I've got no idea where I'm going.
I can't see out of the car full stop. I can't see out the front.
No, I've done that.
I can just see a little bit out the side.
I'm in, but I think if I did it 100 times in this car versus 100 times in the other cars, I know which one would have a few scratches and dings on
Oh
it.
God, that's for sure.
Now, this car's not going to do very well through the slalom because it's got pre-production wishbones on, which basically means it doesn't have the turn-in circle that it will have when it's in full-blown production. It's just not going to happen.
Oh, that's dreadful.
Yeah, but that's not realistic for the time
Okay,
being.
over the bump. Now, I would imagine that spoiler will graunch, but it didn't.
Yeah.
That's amazing. 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, and this TVR say, if you can hear me, is meant to be the tamest TVR so far.
It's quite composed, the steering's nice and soft, but it's actually got very good traction.
It's got no traction control, no ABS. It's a real basic, raw beast of a sports car.
It's fantastic fun. It's a great second car. It truly is a thoroughbred sports car. But let's not try and kid ourselves. We had the 3 cars lined up, the Porsche, the BMW and the TVR. If you had the choice and you had to go to Scotland, which one would you go in?
Oh, there's no question I'd go in the Porsche.
Me too. Let's say you couldn't go in the Porsche.
BMW.
Me too. And if I couldn't go in the BMW, I think I'd get the flame.
I'll probably sat next to you.
So that's a Highland fling for the Porsche and the BMW with 23 points apiece. We're giving viewers a chance to review new cars on the British market. Meet Trisha, who drives one of Driven's favourites, the Toyota Yaris. But can her runaround compete with the long-awaited Mini Cooper, currently selling for up to £3,000 over the list price?
Oh my God.
The Mini is arguably the most desirable small car ever. Will Trisha be won over by this year's new model?
It looks a lot nicer than I thought it would. Love the wheels. Love the lights at the back.
She's got 1 week to make up her mind.
Oh my God, I can't believe he's driving my car away. Oh no! Come back! Oh my God. This is a woman's thing. Have to make sure there's a mirror there. And I'm pleasantly surprised to see that it has actually got lights on it to check your lippy. The last time I was in a Mini, it was about 20 years ago, and I remember sitting a lot lower than this on the ground. I didn't really like it. This area of the dashboard looks really out of place in relation to the high-tech features of the Speedo. I really do not like this steering wheel. It's way too big for this car. I really love these little cute cup door handles. They're really smooth on opening, and I especially like the little reflector light that's on the edge of the door as well. I'm not actually sure about this, but I'll give it a go for a week. See how it drives. When I initially saw the car, I thought the car was absolutely gorgeous on the outside. I still love it. Not 100% convinced of the inside. It's a bit plasticky. The drive, for me, is quite a sturdy one. The steering is quite tough because the car suspension is quite low and it sits quite low on the road. Therefore, it's quite a sturdy, tight drive.
Nice BMW engine, yeah? I agree. It looks nice and sporty,
It looks
though.
nice and it's sporty. Everybody loves it. Certainly get attention in it.
It's nice and low. Looks like it can handle well. The interior is definitely BMW spec interior. The finish and that is very nice. Definitely pull the girls with this, though.
I agree. Except for you, though, Clive.
Off to the beach.
Nice, bro.
See you later. We're off.
As for the practicality of the car, I found that the boot space was non-existent, even with the rear seats folded down. When I go shopping, I like to go shopping with my sister or a friend or something, and that is not practical in a car of this size. So if you're a person that likes to do lots of shopping, You most probably need to make more than one trip to the supermarket. There's another Mini driver admiring the car. I'm not used to all this attention. This guy's just noticed that this is the new model. Everyone in the cab, thank you. I don't believe that any other car will have the response this has had on the road. I'm just thinking it's just a car. What's so different? Apparently, people do find it very different. As you can see, it's chucking it down with rain out here. And this is the last day for me and the Mini. And it's been really fun having the car, but the boot space is not practical. It hasn't got enough room in it. Night out with the girls, they just do not fit in the back. There's not a lot of space in the back. And the steering for me for everyday use is way too heavy, even though it is power steering. I'm home now and they've brought the car back. It's been a nice week, Mini, but I think I'm going to stick with my Yaris.
For a preview of the new Mini Cooper S, log on to 4car.co.uk.
After the break, Fiat's new style Stilo, and we get wet and wild with our roadsters.
With Undercover in the Black Economy, after Driven.
Coming up on Driven, stormy weather ahead for our roadsters, but first, some sun-drenched Italian style.
Those marketing men at Fiat have been at it again, not content with infusing us with the spirito di punto and helping us be small again with the Seicento. This time they've cut to the chase and called their new car the Italian word for style, Stilo. The name may promise the fashion sense of your average catwalk-loving Italian, but does it deliver? Like the Fiat Brava and Bravo, the Stilo is front-wheel drive. Now I'm driving the top-of-the-range model, 2.4 litres, 20 valves and 170 brake horsepower with the Cellar Speed gearbox. That basically means you get 3 different ways to change gear. You can either use the paddle shift on the steering wheel or flick the gear stick sequentially or just press the automatic button. Personally, I hate all 3. They completely removed your senses from driving, completely numb down the experience. I'd much rather have a manual box. Through the bends, it rolls much more than I would expect it to for such a sporty model, but the steering is very nice and precise and the brakes are excellent. Fiat used to be one of the boldest car stylists around, but I get the impression that the designers are really playing safe with the Stilo. From the front, it appears as if they're trying to make the car look as much like something from the Volkswagen or Audi group as possible. And although the back is individual, I don't want to think how much they'll charge for a replacement rear light cluster. After the bland interior of the Bravo and Brava, they've obviously made quite an effort with the Stilo, but as a result, in this particular model, it is packed full of switches, buttons and buzzers, and it's enough to drive you potty. Too much information. I can't help feeling that Fiat are hiding a decidedly 20th century product behind a 21st century options list, when all we really want is a good-looking, easy-to-use design that drives and handles well. The Stilo arrives in the UK in January and Driven expects it to cost around 11 grand. If you're launching a new car in the most crowded sector of the market, then it's going to have to be something really special to stand out. Remember, Fiat was the company that brought us the beautiful Barchetta and the wacky Multipla, designs that really stretched your imagination. So in calling this car the Stilo and judging it on looks alone, I do not think that Fiat have really delivered. In my opinion, if what you're after is true Italian style, then go for an Alfa 147.
Now back to the Driven 100.
We've all been caught out by the infamous British weather. One minute the sun's beating down on you and the next minute you're pulling up the roof to stop the footwell turning into a foot spa. Well, very kindly, Mike and Jason have offered to show us how quickly the roofs will go up on all 3 of our cars. And to add a little bit of realism, I'm going to supply a small shower of rain, and Graham here will supply the wind. We're going to crank the wind machine up to 50 miles an hour and then drop it down to 10 as the boys put the roofs up. Then rev the machine back up to 50 to see if the hoods will keep our brave volunteers dry. And here's the rain. First up, the Porsche.
The wind deflector here. He's making the rain go straight at the top, keeping the stride. It's not so bad, is it?
It's not bad at all, actually. Right, so let's get the car bit down, and we're going to pull the roof up now. Pulling the roof up on this car.
One button, that's all it takes.
Now we're getting slightly wet because Penny's going over the top with her little sprayer there. But we're in, we're done. Done. How about that? And listen how quiet it is all of a sudden. That's not bad at all, is it? They've got the wind machine back up to 50 mile an hour again. I can actually live in here in a real hailstorm. It's not bad at all. There's no water coming in.
No, there's no drips. Well, there's a couple of drips, but the seams are okay. There's no wind noise down the back of the window seam. It's pretty good, isn't it?
It is very good. It just goes to show you that the build quality in this car is absolutely second to none. A great result for the Porsche, water and windproof. Shame our Penny wasn't. Next up, the BMW.
Right now, the button is back here. It's a bit awkward, but and there's also no deflector screen in the back, so we might get a bit wet.
Here it comes. The rain is now going over the top of the car.
It's kind of coming back in.
Coming back in. So it's not bad. It's still pretty good.
Right then, here we go. Roof up. Again, a one-button operation. And instead of unlike on the Porsche where there was one central clip, there's now... Oh, you've got to pull it down. And we did get wet there.
There's two clips to pull down. Down it comes. Whack it straight back up to 50 miles an hour. I'll tell you what, again, really good soundproofing inside this car.
But there is quite a few more drips. It's not quite as good as the Porsche, not as neat.
But not bad nonetheless. Right, Penny, that'll do. That's enough. That's enough. She's enjoying herself, isn't she?
I don't know why, because look at her. look at her bonnet.
A couple of wet drips in the Beamer. Oh, and the hood leaked a little as well. Last, the TVR.
Right now, the TVR, well, I'll tell you what, for starters, we're getting wet. We're getting wet. I can't explain it really. Why is that?
I don't know.
And now we have to get out and retrieve the targa top from the boot. That wasn't as much fun, but there are some benefits to having a targa top actually in a car because you don't get the buttress effect that you get in the other two cars. It's much more solid. There's barely any drips coming in the car. It's more, you know, it's a hard top now.
Okay, we've got out, we've got wet. Is it that much of a big deal?
Well, let's kill the wind and find out how we score them on practicality.
Pam, what's going on with this Mary Quant style hair?
I am not amused. It was not meant to be like this.
The Porsche stores its roof in the boot, and for that reason alone, when the roof comes out, it's dry inside, it clips in, it's one button operation, one clip, it's done. It's got a great boot, that car, as well, so I reckon that has to be the clear winner.
Yeah. BMW is very good, apart from the roof doesn't store away, it collects water.
And then
it's
dumps
a
it on
bit
you.
more fiddly, dumps it on you. And the TVR is very, very good.
The TVR's great because obviously you've got the targa top, and not only that, there's also a lot of space in that TVR behind the seats and in the boot as well. Let's give the Porsche
It's got to be
14. The BMW
13.
and the TVR, because you have to get out of the thing, and you do get
And you
wet.
still didn't get as wet as I was hoping.
11.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got the cash to splash out on one of this week's Driven 100 cars, is there a cheaper alternative? Here's my suggestion for half the price. Now this week, you're going to think, I've gone mad, but I found a serious, hairy alternative to our Driven 100 cars. It's a Chevy Camaro. Oi, 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 listen. This car's got a big bumping V8, 5.7 litres, full-on American muscle. You can forget cruising down Route 66 in this car. You'll look fantastic going down a Great North Road. This year 2000 model can be yours for 20 grand, and for that, you get a lot of poke for your pound. Now, howdy, partner, this one is an automatic, but there is a 6-speed manual option available as well. All cars come with air conditioning, and the most useful gadgets, traction control, because this car was built for the American highways, and it doesn't take too kindly to the twists and turns of UK roads. Make sure that's switched on, because this car can really be hairy. So, why buy Camaro? Because you'll be different, that's why. And if you don't mind sitting on the left, this car will go 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds. And it's good for nearly 160 miles an hour. That is a good enough reason. And for the UK's biggest selection of used car classifieds, log on to 4car.co.uk.
People don't buy these cars for rational reasons. They're expensive, impractical and uneconomical. 90% of their appeal is all about the styling, and at this price the badge on the front is important. Ultimately, it's all about style. These cars have got to tug at your heartstrings. So we've come to a racy restaurant and health club in Rochester to find out what their customers think is the most important, brawn or beauty. Right, let's have a look at the TVR.
Right, who wants to get in here? Go on, you have
Go on,
Don't
jump
be
in.
shy, don't be shy.
Jump in.
What do you think of it in there?
It's quite nice. It's very sleek and sexy, very smooth, but I can't see enough at the front to sort of feel really safe driving. That would give me a problem. I think it's a man's car.
I think the back end's a bit,
Ugly.
don't like that. That's a little bit ugly. Looking at it from the front is great, and
Yeah.
it looks like a real animal, so I'd like to have one of those in the garage.
I think the handbrake is in quite a bad position. It's very high, and you're sort of pulling up from your shoulder to try and get it on.
Well, that's
I'm not being funny, what, for a fella like you? Have a look at the size of you. You eat 5 Weetabix in the morning. If you couldn't pull that up...
a girl like me now, I might have problems.
Well, a mix of opinions with the TVR. Let's get him onto the BMW. Now, you can never forget James Bond in that film when he drove the little Z3. And what they've done...
Jump on in.
...is as soon as that car appeared, everyone who drove it said, great little car, but it could do with a bigger engine.
This is beautiful.
You like it?
Yeah, I like this. Very
What does it
nice.
say to you?
Very nice. It says fast, it says classy.
It's a bit staid and a bit middle-aged sort of car to me.
No.
You said what? It's a ladies' car.
It's a ladies' car. I've always thought, even when I see the Z3 when it come out, I thought it's just not, doesn't suit a man, to be quite honest.
What do you think, guys?
After sitting in the TVR, the minimalistic of the dashboard on there makes this one look very dated.
Well, maybe we should go and have a look at the last car, which is the wonderful Porsche.
God, this looks right up your street. Blonde hair, flowing in the wind. What do you think of it?
It's beautiful. It really is lovely. And the seats are so comfy, you can sleep in them.
Yeah.
It's far better than TVR inside, I think.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's set out better, I think.
For the extra £2,000, you get a better looking car, more stylish, and it's a Porsche as well.
I mean, the shape is brilliant, and you know, it just looks like a mean machine.
So, which is more important to the people of Rochester, brawn or beauty? It's time to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by the car that you most desire. Now, Mike, how many have you got?
I've
by
got
the Porsche?
7 for the Porsche.
Jason?
I've got 5.
Well, I've only got 4 for the BMW, so the Porsche is the car that wins this test.
The boys went for the TVR and the girls opted for the Beamer, but the Porsche was at the top of everybody's Christmas list. It scores 22. Now, cost of ownership. And if you have to look at the price tag, then you simply can't afford it. The TVR will set you back 89 pence per mile, the Beamer 86 and the Porsche 82. All 3 cars score an abysmal 12 points.
And with all the results in, we can now announce the winners and losers of this week's Driven 100.
Something for the weekend, sir. In 3rd place, it's the TVR Tamora.
Middle of the road? No, it's better than that. In 2nd, the BMW M Roadster.
And this week's top dog, the Porsche Boxster S.
The new TVR Tamora has caused conflict within our ranks. Me and Mike think it's a great car to drive because it's so raw. However, it does have specialist appeal.
Which is why I'm not so keen. You just can't live with it on a day-to-day basis like you can the M Roadster. It's a very usable car with a wonderful engine and cracking handling.
But the Boxster S is all those things and more. With its exceptional quality, this car is going to be hard to beat for under 40 grand by any manufacturer, and that's why it's this week's winner. We'll see you next week.
Next week on Driven, why can't we let abandoned cars rust in peace? The latest on our dumping campaign. And group testing performance MPVs. Which one will go to the top of the class?
And that was a different episode from the one advertised, and that'll now be shown earlier in the new year. Now, whether you're considering buying a car yourself or just mad about motoring, keep up with the latest news, pictures and road tests with the 4Car website at 4car.co.uk.
ITV Drama premieres with HSBC, investing in great British drama.